I greet you, Librous. Welcome.
Yeah, I greet you, Citizen Jones, and I greet members of the panel. Thank you.
So what can you tell us now?
I have listened to members of the panel, and when anytime EFCC starts their Gestapo melodrama, I just laugh because for some of us that have seen the beginning, we are no longer entertained by this, melodrama that EFCC is displaying. Really, gone are the days when we see EFCC, visit in a Gestapo-like manner politically exposed persons, and would think that yes, something good is coming out of this. For me, I think all of these it's like EFCC waits for a governor. The moment he exits office, they, come invite him, and then the drama will start. Some persons have said the next thing they will say, oh, you stole so much, or you give us our own. And then the case that starts with so much fanfare and drama will now take a snail speed. If you remember, Citizen Jones, Otubagbega Daniel, just the same way EFCC, charged him for mismanaging, I think about 60 billion. Midway along the line, that charge was amended quietly to 200 million without the press, knowing. That was as far back as 2007. What became of the case today? This Yahaya Bello's matter, if you remember, sometimes in February, Yahaya Bello filed a case at the Kogi High Court in suit number HCL 68M 2024. Yahaya Bello, applicant, and the EFCC responded. Issues were joined in that matter. EFCC sometimes in February filed a 7-paragraph affidavit in opposition and a preliminary objection to that suit. It's an originating process for enforcement of fundamental rights. And at the end of the day, I think on the 17th, that same day, the Kogi State High Court delivered a judgment restraining the EFCC, like Otitoju has said. And one would wonder, really, we say prosecution starts from investigation. I read in the news somehow EFCC is charging Yahaya Bello to court the next day. And I asked myself, there's what we call the doctrine of presumption of innocence and auditory pattern, hearing the other side. Has EFCC taken Yahaya Bello's statements? Have they, taken his statement to hear his own side of the story? Or they will go to court, charge a man, because the Administration of Criminal Justice Act is clear. You charge a man to court without a statement from him, without hearing from him, and at the end of the day, is that not a way of boggling the case? Is that not the beginning of the end of that matter, where you have charged somebody, you have not even obtained a statement from him? You say, oh, we're taking him to court the next day, we're in his house, and then the next thing, if they had arrested Yahaya Bello, and then they took him to court the next day, is it after prosecution that they will now begin to obtain statements from him? Wouldn't that be a point of objection when the trial eventually begins, that most of these issues were preemptive? I think that while I agree with Otitoju and my other brother that there's politically exposed persons, if anybody is found culpable, if anybody is corrupt, there's need for us to dutifully investigate such persons so that at the end of the day, the society will benefit from the taxes and the funds that is being pumped into, the administration of EFCC. And not this kind of, jamboree that we see. I can, like Otitoju said also, I can start to mention names, starting from, like I said, Otubagbega Daniel, Ojus Okalu, recently Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano, and then Fayose, Adoke, all of this, including the NNPC, was it Kore? There was this man's name. EFCC, the same fanfare. At the end of the day, there is something usually not tidy about the way these things are done, and you create a loophole for these persons to escape. Wouldn't it have been tidier? What's the hurry? Would it have been tidier? You vacate this order of the Kogi State High Court, you're on appeal, the Court of Appeal was sitting yesterday, you vacate that order, extend the invitation to this gentleman and obtain statement from him. Maybe after obtaining statement from him, there might even be some incriminating, positions that you did not have your mind to before. And thereafter, it gives you a robust opportunity to approach the court. You would have tidied up your case, cross the T's and dot the I's. Unlike these haphazard ways of going to court because you want to please people that you're fighting corruption. And at the end of the day, the man gets to court, he's granted bail, and that becomes the beginning of the end of the matter. As a lawyer, I have never seen this kind of style before, where you arrest somebody, you have not even obtained a statement from him, you charge him. He's already in court the next day without a statement, and then it is when prosecution is going on that you now begin to obtain statement, and then you now say, no, you need to go back and investigate that matter. Wouldn't that be prejudicial to the accused person? And we know that in criminal law, if there is any doubt at all, any doubt created in the mind of the court, it is resolved in favor of the accused person. Yeah. And because the accused person is consistently presumed innocent. So I do not understand this style. There is no need, criminal prosecution, there is no statute of limitation to criminal prosecution. And that is why we consistently say prosecution starts from investigation. There is no need for this hurry, this fire brigade that we are seeing. I would have expected that no matter how much, no matter how long a former governor runs, if EFCC is ready to catch him, like their slogan says, they will certainly catch him. I also would advise Bello and co, let them pursue their matters to a logical conclusion, and then discuss with his lawyers, who mostly definitely will be senior advocates, and then let them approach the court, just like Fayose had done, approach EFCC from, I want to quote Ozekome. Ozekome had, consistently informed Nigerians that care to listen that EFCC is a paper tiger, and that he has taken them to court 11 times, and he has defeated them. Why? Because of these seemingly loopholes that they intentionally created. That is why the current chairman, during screening, would say that prosecutors intentionally frustrate cases. Yes. Even investigation too, with what we have seen now, it's obvious that with this kind of investigation, definitely such a matter will not go
Librous, let's look at this matter this way. There are some aides of the governor who are saying that because he had a restraining order, he felt that it would be disrespectful of the court for him to hand himself over to the EFCC. Do you agree that that action was right because he had a restraining order to not agree to be arrested?
If you look at the body of that judgment, the courts, the Kogi State High Court, if you permit me to read a part of that judgment, the Kogi State High Court, in granting that order, said, an order is hereby granted enforcing the fundamental right of the applicant to liberty and freedom of movement and fair hearing by restraining the defendant by themselves, their rights, servants, or privy from continuing to harass, threatening to arrest or detain in any manner whatsoever, arresting, dealing, or persecuting the applicant on the basis of the criminal charge now pending before the Federal High Court, without prejudice to the powers of the said Federal High Court. Yes, there is a restraining order. Without prejudice to that matter that is before the High Court, there are procedures also for charging. I also, despite that despite the matter at the High Court, despite this restraining order, what the EFCC should have done at the appeal court would have been to argue the fact that their act empowers them to prosecute after investigation, and that there is no way they can prosecute without obtaining statements. And so if they are restrained without obtaining statement, then it will be impossible, a legal impossibility for them to prosecute. And to that extent that they pray the court to prosecute. To that extent, they pray the Court of Appeal to vacate this restraining order. Once that is done, you can now extend invitation to the man to come answer to the petition or the investigation, preliminary investigation that you have conducted. But without doing all of that, you just you go to his house in a Gestapo-like manner and say you want to charge him the next day, and yet you have not, because the matter is coming up the next day, you have not obtained a statement from him. He can be a politically exposed person today, even if we don't like him. He can be Librous, Oshoma, or Titoju tomorrow, or Citizen Jones. And if it is you, nobody will even come out to speak. So, and that's why I think that no matter the situation we find ourselves, be it high and low, there are procedures that must be followed. These procedures must be followed to the letter, especially when it concerns the judgment of the courts.
Could it be that they weren't sure that they will get a favorable judgment? Could that be the reason they moved a day before they were supposed to appear before the court?
You can't preempt the courts. You shouldn't be preempting the court. If you believe that you have done all there is to do and you do not get a favorable judgment at the Court of Appeal, there is the Supreme Court. You can still go upstairs. So to not preempt the courts even gave you a leeway, a window, without prejudice to the powers of the Federal High Court to prosecute, to carry out that criminal investigation, criminal charge. But the question is, this person that you are charging, have you heard his other side, his own side of the story? Have you obtained statement from him? Can you prosecute without obtaining statement from him? And now that there's an order restraining him, you need to vacate that order so that you'll be able to obtain statement from him to be able to prosecute him. It's as simple as ABC. We just make it complicated.
All right, Librous, I understand what you're saying. Section 33 of the Constitution talks about the right to life, what should happen when a thing like this comes up. Let me reconcile what you have said with the fact that refusal to submit to arrest or detention is a crime in itself.
You see, the problem here is not refusal to submit to arrest. If a court restrains Citizen Jones from holding me, and Citizen Jones now come despite that court order to say, I must hold you, don't you need to vacate that order first. That is restraining you? Yes. Or are we saying that, look, irrespective of how that order was gotten, irrespective of how it was gotten, the first thing is that it's an order of a court of competent jurisdiction. And mind you, EFCC had joint issues with the applicant in that court. EFCC were there. They filed a counter and a preliminary objection. An order and a judgment was given. EFCC has appealed that order. So what is the hurry? In that case, if I were him also, I would say, well, I am protected by the law. You can't come and harass me as if I am a fugitive. And despite the court, so if we cannot obey court orders, then why do we need to go to court? We should all do resort to self-help. We should all fight. If there was no court order, restraining the EFCC, dated on the 17th of February, I would be among those that would say, Yahaya Bello, go like Fayoshe, wear a singlet and say, EFCC, I'm here. But as a lawyer, I am restrained on the ground that there is a subsisting order which has not been vacated by superior court, and also by the procedures for prosecution, that you must obtain a statement from that accused person, except that accused person volunteers not to give any statement. Then it is recorded that the accused person was told in clear terms that he has the right not to say anything, and he volunteered not to stay, he decided not to volunteer any statement. So all of this will be recorded by the court. But a situation where you have not done this, you suddenly woke up after, mind you, since February, when the EFCC joined issues. They did not go to Yahaya Bello's house. They did not, and even then they have admitted that they did not extend invitation to him to come answer. And then the man went to court and got an order. You were sleeping, he got an order. And now, all of a sudden, you remember, oh no, we have power. We even need to use the army to break into his house. Rochas this same thing was done.
Well, let me ask.
They broke into his house.
Let me ask.
Yes,
one of the reasons people usually give for not going to surrender themselves a lot of times is the manner in which they are interrogated and the condition. What do you say to our agencies on this?
That's why I support the current chairman. From the feelers I get, current chairman being a lawyer has consistently admonished, members of the commission not to be hostile in interrogating suspects because these people are presumed innocent.